If you're looking to reset your finances in 2025 and you love a good challenge, then this video is for you. I have 8 different money challenges that can help you save money, help you build habits, and most importantly, just simply help you take control of your financial life right now this year. For those new here, hello and welcome. My name is Lissa. I'm a certified financial planner. I'm an accredited financial counselor, and I am the co-host of NetNet Podcast, a podcast where we help you navigate every financial decision in life. Check it out and let me know what you guys think. Now, before I dive into this list of 8 money challenges that you can try, I want you to know that you do not have to do all of them. Definitely don't try to do all 8 at once. I don't know if that's possible. Maybe it is if you're an overachiever. But for those of you looking for inspiration on how to improve your finances, or you want to shake up your financial routine, then these challenges are a great way to start. If you've tried your own versions of these challenges or you have any new ideas, share them in the comments so that we can all help each other out. Let's dive into that list of 8 money challenges that you can try in 2025. Challenge number 1, the no spend challenge. If you've never heard of this, a no spend challenge is about not spending. It's about cutting out all discretionary spending for a set amount of time. So some people like to do this for a month, some people like to do it for a whole year. For this challenge, I want to challenge you to try doing it for 1 quarter. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. 1 quarter equals 3 months, so that would be 3 months of no spending outside of your essential expenses. Essential expenses typically includes things like rent or mortgage, your housing expenses, utilities, groceries, transportation, yes, your cell phone bill, and definitely paying off your debt and other absolutely necessary items. This means you have to make a concerted effort to avoid eating out, to avoid shopping for non-essentials, to avoid buying things impulsively. Now, I'm gonna be real with you guys. On a personal level, I have never done the no spend challenge to a T, like exactly as you're supposed to. And that's because this type of challenge doesn't work for me. I'm the type of person that doesn't like to feel like I'm not allowed to do things. So for me, I've done versions of this challenge where I still have a flexible bucket or a fun bucket that I can tap into so that I don't have to say no to everything while I do this challenge. But some would argue that that goes against the whole challenge to begin with. And the only reason I share that is because I want you to know that not all of these challenges work for every person. I have a ton of clients that do well with a no spend challenge because it kind of resets them. They might do it for a month, they might do it for a couple months, and then after that, even though they're not doing the challenge anymore, they still are very conscious about the way they spend. So I just want you to know that. So here's what you would get out of this challenge if you decide to accept it. The no spend challenge leverages the psychological power of delayed gratification. So what it does is it forces you to focus on what truly matters. When you start saying no to non-essentials and you practice mindfulness while you're doing this, you break the cycle of impulsive spending and of spending on things that you don't even care about, like things that you don't even value. Then when you go back to spending on discretionary things after the challenge, like I said earlier, you will be more mindful about how you spend your money. So it doesn't just help you on saving money during the challenge, it has longer term benefits. Why did I say to try 1 quarter, 3 months? So I think pick whatever time period works for you. I think 3 months is a good starting point because for a lot of people, it's gonna take longer than 1 month to break a habit. If you tend to overspend, if you tend to spend impulsively, then you might want longer to build this habit and 1 month might not be enough. The reason I don't think you have to do it for an entire year, unless you really, really want to, is for the reason I said earlier for me, is I don't want you to miss out on things. I feel like so much can change in a year. I would hate for you to miss time spent doing things you love with the people that you love. So I think 1 to 2 quarters or 3 to 6 months feels like a good amount of time to challenge yourself. It'll allow you to build this habit of mindfulness without feeling like you're missing out in life. Here are some tips to get you started on this challenge. Number 1, make a list of your essential expenses so that you can clearly define what's allowed and what's not allowed. Number 2, remove temptation by unsubscribing from marketing emails and trying to stay off of shopping apps. And number 3, make a list of activities that you can do for free, like hiking, taking walks, reading books that you already own, and spending quality time with friends that doesn't involve spending. Challenge number 2, the Pay Yourself First challenge. With this challenge, every time you get paid, you are going to immediately transfer a portion of that income into savings or investments before you spend a single dollar. You can try 10% of your income to start, or if that seems steep, depending on your own financial situation, try something like 5% of your income or a flat amount like $50 or $100 per paycheck. This one I actually do want you to do for a year and hopefully beyond a year. And then the bonus challenge is that you increase your savings amount at regular intervals. This means that by the end of the year, you're going to be paying yourself first, and it's going to be a much higher amount than you're doing right now to start with. For example, every month, increase that amount by $20 per paycheck or more if you can. Here's what you're going to get out of this challenge. You are going to prioritize savings, and you're going to build a habit of treating your future self as a priority. A lot of people forget to save for the future because they're caught up in all the things that they want today. So when you do the pay yourself method, it's kind of a set it and forget it method, and it just makes sure that you save first, and it reduces your temptation to spend. It taps into that whole idea of it being out of sight, out of mind, because when you set it up and it's automated, you're gonna just do it, and before you know it, your savings and your investments are gonna grow. Here are some tips to help you get started with this challenge. Number 1, if your job allows it, set it up via a direct deposit to your savings account. This means if you already have a direct deposit going to your checking account, you're gonna set up a second one that puts a certain amount straight into your savings. Tip number 2, if you can't do direct deposit, or if you already have a huge savings, like you already have your emergency fund in place, then set up automated transfers into a different savings account for other savings goals, or directly into an investment account immediately when you get paid. And tip number 3, like I mentioned earlier, start small. You don't have to start by saving a couple $100s a month if you can't wrap your head around it mentally or with your financial situation. Start with an amount that works and then gradually increase it. I know at the beginning of the video I said you shouldn't try to do all these challenges, but if you're gonna try one or try a couple, then I definitely want you to do this one. This is the challenge that I did that helped me save my emergency fund. It helped me prioritize investing for the future. So I think it's actually an easy challenge to do once you set it up. So let me know if you accept this challenge. Challenge number 3. Save $1,000 per quarter. So I want you to set a goal to save $1,000 every 3 months. If you break it down into smaller, more achievable amounts, that's $334 per month or about $84 per week. You can find ways to reach this goal by simply cutting out unnecessary spending, or you can take on a side hustle or sell things in your home that you don't even use anymore. This challenge provides a clear and measurable savings target, which I think works for some people when you know exactly how much you are saving for. When you break a bigger goal down into smaller steps, you start to build discipline while you build up a sizable savings throughout the year. So, pretty clear what you would get out of this challenge. Obviously, you're gonna have $4,000 saved by the end of the year, which for a lot of people can be a good starter emergency fund. If you already have an emergency fund, then this $4,000 can be used for another savings bucket that you have. If you have something coming up in the next couple of years and that's money that you don't want to invest into the market, then you will have this additional bucket of money. But beyond the $4,000, what you get out of this challenge is you get to see that you can achieve goals. All you got to do is pick a big goal and then break it down into smaller, more manageable amounts. Here are some tips to help you get started with this challenge. Number 1, use a visual tracker like this one to see your progress. I'll drop a link to this challenge guide, which has a summary of all the challenges in this video, plus the printouts for the visual trackers. So check the description for the link. Tip number 2, you're gonna want to review your budget so that you can find expenses to cut. Start by trying to find one thing to cut out, whether that's dining out or taking a look at all of your subscriptions. That should help you get started on finding that money. And number 3, another tip, set reminders on your calendar to keep you on track. Maybe put a reminder every other week that says, hey, did you put $84 aside this week or $334 aside this month? In order to complete the challenge, you gotta make sure you don't forget about it. Challenge number 4, 10 minutes a day on financial education. For this challenge, I want you to dedicate just 10 minutes a day to learning about personal finance. You can read a blog post, you can watch a video from my channel or other channels, you can listen to a podcast, you can dive into a chapter of a finance book. Alternatively, do 1 hour per week. Over time, doing these small actions are going to compound into significant knowledge. Think about it. Let's say you don't understand something like investing or the stock market. If you dedicate time to learning it, you'll come to understand it in a few months, if not a few weeks or sooner. What's not going to happen is you're not going to just magically understand it and learn it if you don't dedicate time for it. So here's what you get out of this challenge. It goes without saying, you're gonna learn more about money, and that knowledge is gonna help you make smarter financial decisions. And I think the more you understand, the more confident you'll be in making those decisions. And confidence with money is so important, in my opinion. Money is something that touches all of our lives on a daily basis, so it's not really a subject that you can avoid. Here are some tips to get started. Number 1, pick a format that excites you. Do you love podcasts? Do you like YouTube videos? Do you like books? If you want resources from other women of color, because what's most important is finding voices that speak to you, then you can check out my video up here. Tip number 2, create a daily ritual, like pair your learning time with your morning coffee or your commute. And tip number 3, keep a journal of your insights and your ideas to apply what you've learned over time. So I like to keep notes in my notes app on my phone because my phone is always on me. So if I learn something, if I hear something interesting, I'll jot it down. Challenge number 5, the 52-week savings challenge. So this popular challenge involves saving an increasing amount every week for a year. So compared to the $1,000 a quarter challenge, this is gonna actually save less money, but I would recommend this for people who feel like they are living paycheck to paycheck, where money is just super, super tight, because this particular challenge meets you where you're at, and it still helps you build a starter emergency fund by the end of the year. So in this challenge, you start by saving $1 in the first week, $2 in the second week, and so on until you reach $52 in week 52. If you do the math, by the end of the year, you will have saved $1,378. So yes, this is a lot more manageable than number 3, which was to save $1,000 per quarter or $4,000 for the year. And it is best for those who are really, really struggling but want to save and want to improve their financial situation. The gradual approach makes saving a lot more manageable and sustainable, and it's a great way to ease into saving if you're new to it. Similar to the $1,000 a quarter challenge, what you get is you get a starter emergency fund. If you're able to save this $1,378, then that gives you a decent starter emergency fund that will be a cushion for you and prevent you from going into debt anytime an emergency comes up. But more importantly, this challenge helps you build the habit of saving if it's not something you're good at or if it's not something you've prioritized in the past. Tips to get started. Number 1, use a visual tracker. A lot of people love visual trackers because it keeps them motivated. So if that helps you, then I would recommend using one. Number 2, if you want to make it easier for yourself and you happen to have extra money earlier in the year, then you can actually start the challenge in reverse. So you can start with saving $52 in the first week, $51 in the second week, and so on. If you're able to do this, it helps you jump ahead, and then the challenge only gets easier over time. Challenge number 6. This is one of my favorites, and this is the Declutter challenge. I'm gonna be easy on you guys because I usually do 100, but for this challenge, I'm going to say we're gonna do 25. So what you're gonna do is find 25 items in your home that you no longer need or use. You can sell them, you can donate them, you can recycle them. For items that have value, you can consider listing them online or even hosting a yard sale. Whatever money you get out of it, you can use that to pay off debt or add to your savings or investments. The reason I like to declutter is it simplifies your life. But beyond that, I feel like it clears mental space, and in some instances, it can help you generate that extra cash. For me, what I really like about this challenge are the longer term effects. When you declutter and you make it a habit and you do it every so often, it helps you build this habit of assessing what you have and assessing the value of things. It doesn't mean that you have to live a minimal life. I don't really, but I like to make sure that everything I'm spending on is something that brings value to me. And if I assess something later and realize it doesn't, then I learn, don't buy that next time. For this challenge, here are tips to get started. Number 1, set a timer for 25 minutes at a time to avoid being overwhelmed. Walk around your house for 25 minutes, look inside all your drawers, your cabinets, and look for things that you don't need anymore. And number 2, take before and after photos because that might help you stay motivated if you can see your progress of how much you can declutter. All right, 6 down, 2 challenges to go. If you are enjoying this video, please don't forget to hit the like button and maybe share this video with a friend. I think this is a good one to do with a friend, an accountability buddy. You guys can challenge each other and make sure that you both stay on track. All right, challenge number 7, skills challenge. This challenge is to learn a new skill to increase your value. For this challenge, I want you to pick a skill that you are going to develop in 2025 that is going to boost your earning potential. So this can include gaining a technical skill, whether that's something like coding or improving public speaking or learning how to use a specific software or getting a certification of some kind, depending on what field you're in. If you can't think of one, a very simple one that I think can benefit you in life is to learn how to use spreadsheets or learn how to analyze data. Those 2 things are pretty useful in most industries and most jobs. What you get out of this challenge. So this might not seem obvious what you'll get out of it in the immediate term, but overall, you are going to increase your human capital, your value. Sometimes when you learn a new skill or take a class or get a certification, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna get a $20,000 raise tomorrow. But over time, I promise you, having these additional skills are gonna make you stand out at your job. It's gonna help you stand out the next time you're applying for a job. Or it's gonna come in handy when you're building a business or when you're making investments later on. I'm a big believer in lifelong learning, so I just think don't get too complacent, especially in this digital world that we're in, because everything is changing so fast. I don't think every job is gonna get erased by technology or AI, but I do think there are many areas that you can learn more, and those areas can help you in the future. Tips to get started. Number 1, choose a skill that's aligned with your goals or something you're interested in. It's a lot easier to be motivated to learn something if you're interested in it. Tip number 2, sit down for 20 minutes and do some Googling. Find a place where you can learn that skill. There are tons of free and low-cost resources like YouTube tutorials, library books, or even classes in your community. There are tons of free Google certification courses, HubSpot courses, and literally online, the world is infinite. There's a lot of free content. But I will say it doesn't necessarily have to be free. I personally think it is an investment in yourself. So don't be afraid to invest your time and even some money to upskill and to increase your knowledge, because over time that's going to increase your value. And tip number 3, dedicate specific time each week to practice this skill and to measure your progress. A lot of people say they don't have time for things, and I believe you can make time. Get up early before work 1 day a week, or 30 minutes to an hour on the weekend. It's not that much, and over time you're gonna get a lot out of it. All right, Last one on the list. Now I'm like,
why did I put 8 on this list? I feel like this is a long ass video.
but that's neither here nor there. We are now at number 8, the last challenge on the list. This is the Double Down Savings Challenge. This challenge is specifically for those of you who are already saving a regular set amount every month. I want to challenge you to double your typical savings amount starting sometime in the first 6 months of this year. If you really want to challenge yourself, double the number again by the end of the year. So as a financial planner and counselor, I have found that a lot of people actually do have enough money that they could save, that they could invest. But because it's there, they end up spending it. So this challenge is really just about prioritizing your financial goals. It's prioritizing your savings and investments so that you can really get ahead. It goes without saying all of the benefits of this challenge. You will beef up your savings, whether that is an emergency savings fund or your short-term financial goals, or even longer-term goals like retirement and other things. But more importantly, this challenge is going to make you prioritize all of these things now, this year. There's no more putting it off to, oh, when I get my next raise, or wait, I just want to buy this one more thing and then I'll start saving later. This challenge is going to make sure that you start right now. So here are some tips to get started. Number 1, do a cash flow exercise, meaning look at your income versus your expenses. Before you can double your savings rate, you probably want to have a bird's eye view on all of your spending. So to help with that, I do have a free spreadsheet. I'll put the link in the description. It is my cash flow audit. That's going to help you take a look at all of your monthly income and expenses to see how much you have available to increase your savings rate. Tip number 2, if you don't think you have available cash flow to double your savings rate, then the reason I said you don't have to do it today, but sometime in the next 6 months, this gives you time to find places that you can cut down. And tip number 3, if that doesn't work, then I want you to go for the gusto. Like, go for the long-term play, which is find a way to increase your income. So I'm not just talking about a side hustle, but sit down with your manager. Talk about what it takes to get a big raise this year. If there's no path to a big jump in pay, then explore other jobs. Try to get a big jump in pay by moving jobs, moving industries, moving companies. I know the job market is not great in many areas right now today, but it's not an overnight thing. The point is that you are going to accept this challenge. You know that within the next 6 months, you want to double your savings rate. And if that means you need a new job that pays more, then start looking for that today. All right, 8 challenges to choose from. Pick 1, pick 2, pick 3. And if you're up to taking a challenge, then write challenge accepted in the comments so we can see who's working on what and we can all cheer each other on. As always, I appreciate all of you for watching until the very end of the video. Until next time, peace out.